Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Talkin Kop. Slightly later than advertised. That's my fault. I apologise. I'm Gav. That's Kev. That's Ashley. This is a midweek update in the international break. When usually what would happen is that all the lads would go out and play football. We'd all hope they don't get injured. They come back. We're working out many hours it is between them finishing playing football somewhere in South America and playing against Burnley on Sunday and wondering will their legs be okay. But loads of stuff is going on. Loads of stuff is going on, bar the international break. So there you go. Again, apologies for being late. Somebody's taken it to heart and hit the unlike button straight away. Fair fucks to you. You're right. You should do that. All you should hit the unlike button because we're late, because we'd really get upset by that. I'm going to start with Kev's favourite person in the whole wide world, and it is Ange Postecoglou. The madness of Nottingham Forest continues to roll on. Nuno Espirito Santo, about 12:05 last night, best time to do it, was announced that he's not hasn't got a job anymore, and they've sacked him. And funnily enough, who turned up in the car park this morning? Ange Postecoglou, as if this wasn't all planned well in advance. I immediately thought of you, Kev. I'm not going to lie, but I'm going to leave you there for a minute if that's okay. Ashley.
That's all right.
Ashley, honestly, I'd like to say I'm surprised, but as soon as that owner jumped on the pitch and had to go off Espirito Santo last season after they'd drawn at home in the league to secure European football, as soon as he jumped on the pitch and had to go with him and gave him a dressing down, I was like, there's no way back for this fella. You just can't be doing that in public. And it's gone on to the point where Nuno kind of had to say, no, I haven't got a great relationship with him at all before the season started. They bring in a load of players, but it looks like he didn't want. And now they've just sacked him and brought in Ange. I don't know. Like, what do you do? What do you do with these guys? Like, what more does that manager have to do? You know? And then you have, what was his name that was doing the interview where he was meant to leave and then he didn't? Gibbs White. And he was like, yeah, I'm really enjoying it here. And your man just stand there staring and going, you just fucking say what I want you to say. It is a bit basket case, actually. I'm not going to lie. It happens all the time at football clubs, but this feels a bit mad.
I mean, it's absolutely box office. In terms of, being someone that has absolutely zero, care in the world about how good or poorly they do, it is very entertaining. But it doesn't make, an iota of sense to me. I think that by all reports, it seems like Nuno had a falling out with Marinakis. It seems like he also had a falling out with their new sporting director, Edu, who came from Arsenal. He didn't like the players that were being brought in. He didn't think that they suited his system. I tend to agree. I think that the players that were brought in reminded me very much of, the old Arsenal style players. They were all ex-Man City. Kind of technical players, didn't really fit Nuno's mold. And, Nuno, fair play to him for coming out and saying, this isn't my plan. I don't like this. I imagine that he probably needs to find a secluded island somewhere to kind of get away from Marinakis. But I don't, once you add Ange into this equation,
it's phenomenal.
It's like adding, I don't know, fuel to the fire, but times 1,000. I have no idea what's going to happen. And I think Ange also has a little bit of Greek descent in him. So there's a little bit of a Greek connection there between the owner and Ange.
Go to the bookies and put a considerable amount of money on these two, punching the head off each other in public within the next 12 months. It's not going to end well.
One little bit. I don't think it's going to end well on the pitch, because I look at the way that Nuno played so successfully last year, and I don't think that you could go further in the opposite direction than Ange. I don't think that the players are suited to it whatsoever. And I think they're going to burn out a lot of really, really talented players, especially the center backs, I think are absolutely fucked. I don't think that they're going to be able to play that system. I think that their wing backs are screwed, and I think that Chris Wood is probably screwed. I think most of the players are going to have a really difficult time. And I think the one thing, before we let Kev have his moment in the sun here, which was really appalling, is that the Forest players were not informed. According to reports, the Forest players, well away on international duty, found all of this out via social media. They didn't get any sort of, call from the club or anything like that. They all found out the same way that we did that this was happening. And that to me is just hugely unprofessional and just not acceptable in my eyes. But again, box office. Can't wait to watch it. It's literally like watching a box of fireworks that like the fuse is just getting closer and closer to that box of fireworks.
Yeah, like Kev, they start the season. I watched them on the first day of the season. They were home to Brentford, and they were really, really good. Like Gibbs White looked unbelievable. Chris Wood was brilliant. Like Gibbs White ran the show, like, and then, but is it Elliot Anderson that plays in the centre of the park for them as well? He was fucking unbelievable with and I can't remember. Is it Samari plays beside him? Is that the guy's name beside him? Two of them in midfield were unreal. You know, the full-backs were getting up and back. You know, the midfield were controlling it. They were fizzing it into Gibbs White. He was looking for his wingers and Wood. And it was brilliant. The defenders were solid. It was a really good display by them. I think they draw their next game, I think 1-1. They're away somewhere and they draw 1-1. And then they're beaten at home by West Ham 3-0. Which
They
was
collapse.
Yeah, they collapsed near the end. They're 1-0 down and then they collapsed near the end. But Kev, I remember watching that Brentford game and they're announcing two signings. Like they're announcing, is it McAtee they signed off Man City?
Off Man City, yeah.
Yeah, and the guy from Ipswich.
Oh, Omari Richards?
No, I can't remember the guy's name off Ipswich. Another kind of a winger, stroke 10, and these two are coming out on the pitch and and they're clapping and I'm like, okay, they're decent players. They're adding to their squad and stuff like that. And then I was kind of thinking to myself, well, maybe they're moving on here. Maybe they are getting the players. But then it came out
It
that
was Hutchinson. Amari, yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Ollie, in the chat as well. But Kev, in the background of all this seems to be like a manager going, I didn't want them fucking two players. Right? You've bought them and I don't want them. And we don't have a good... I have to come out publicly now and say, you know, I don't have a good relationship with you. This goes on and on and on. And he just... I don't know why he just didn't get rid of him in the summer, Kev. Like, why did he give him this time? Because it's clearly a plan, Kev. Ange Postecoglou was gone since after the Europa League final, right? He's gone, right? And there's loads of time there to go, you know what, we want to move on, we want to make the next step, whatever, blah, 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 blah. Give it all the excuses you want. Just go and do it now. Like, why did he let him go 3 games to the end of a transfer window, sign players he didn't want, and then go, oh, by the way, I'm bringing in Ange? Unless Ange made those signings.
Here's the thing. Marinakis doesn't want a manager having a say in signings. That's why he brought in Edu. Manager's there to pick a set of tactics, win games, but he wants to be entertained. And it's going to be such a massive calamity as to what's going to happen now. Forest has Steve Cooper, did really well. Surprisingly, they got rid of him, bring in Nuno Espirito Santo. Done unbelievably well. Built a squad to play a certain way that was a winning style of football for what limitations that squad had, and got them into Europe. Massively overachieved, on the verge of Champions League at one stage. You know, with 30 games to go. After 30 games last season, they were on the verge of maybe qualifying for the Champions League. They fell away towards the back end of the season. They've got rid of him. He's coming out of this smelling the roses, by the way. You know, I mean, I think he's coming out smelling the roses because of how he sideswiped Marinakis in the press conference and put all of the cards back on the owner. Everyone could see the car crash that happened on the pitch that day at Brentford, wasn't it? That draw. That should never have happened. But then to go and appoint the spoofer, this guy who's the most alien manager for the squad that he's going to inherit, because he's incapable of changing. He's incapable of adapting to the squad that he inherits. And he's got a philosophy and an idea of how football should be played. And that's how Forest are going to play from now on. It's going to be the easiest 6 points for us we're going to get off them this season, compared to what shit show we played against them last year. Ange will set them up the way Ange does, suicidal halfway on the halfway line, and we'll play through them really fucking simply, because he just doesn't have the players now at Nottingham Forest to play the way he wants to play, and he's not going to get them. And for what I don't know what the fuck Edu is thinking, signing the players he signed looking at the manager he then went and appointed. Because they don't add up either. They make absolutely no fucking sense whatsoever. He's going to line up like he always did at Spurs, with wing backs, a back three, playing really high. Try to play 3 in midfield if he can, and then 2 up front, 1 up, 1 off. It's going to be an absolute fucking disaster, and it's great. I can't fucking wait, because I hate Nottingham Forest with a fucking passion. And I can't fucking stand that Australian prick either. This is fucking coming up roses for me, because that spoofer this time around isn't going to get the media frenzy that he had last time. All right, mate, good day and all that shit, where they fucking loved the fucking shit that he was coming out with. Isn't he fucking great? Isn't he this? Isn't he that? Isn't he a breath of fresh air for the Premier League? Isn't it fantastic? He was a fucking spoofer. And the idea that finishing where he did at Spurs and thinking he's going to improve this Nottingham Forest side, they deserve everything they fucking get. They deserve, that owner deserves everything that fucking happens to him, because he's an absolute car crash. And that club is going to fall apart, and I'm fucking delighted. Couldn't happen to a nicer bunch of pricks.
You see, my thing on this is, and look, I suppose you have to caveat with, is the owner a bit mental, right? But if me looking at Nottingham Forest last season, I would have went, right, look, they massively overachieved, right? Let's get that straight. They massively overachieved for a team that the previous year was signing like stupid amount of players, and it was like, you know, where did he put in all these players? And eventually they all came in and all went out again. And for him to take the squad and whittle it down to probably 16, 17 players and go that season and stay up there as long as he did. Look, the bigger squads kind of told near the end and the bigger quality, right? And to do that, I thought was unbelievable. Now, they lose Alanga, they lose Alanga to Newcastle, but they bring in the guy from, he played in the first day of the season. He played against us last season. Can't remember his name, the winger. And they bring him in as his replacement, right? And for me, looking at Forest, I would have said to myself, do you know what? Okay, you might be a little bit disappointed that you didn't get in the top 5, but you've ended up in the Europa League. Now, what we'll do is we'll commit to this manager. We will say, right, what do we want to do? Who do we want to get in? What do you still want to play the same system? Do you want? If you do, where can we up the quality in certain positions? And let's give them the best chance we can to consolidate, maybe in the top 8 in the Premier League, get through Europa and see where we go. But they've gone completely the other way, and even by going the other way, they've done it all the wrong way anyway. Because they should have just said to Nuno Espirito Santo at the end of the season, listen, fantastic what you've done, but I want to go in a different direction. I want to bring in someone different. I want the style of play different. Whatever it might be upfront and say, that's what I want. I'm going to let you go on July the 1st. And then you bring in your Andrew, you bring in whoever, and you say, right, what do you want to do? Who do you want to have? What way do you want to play? You know, and he can, as much as you might like it or not like it, he might say, well, I want 2 really fast centre-backs. I want another destroyer in midfield, and I want another winger. And we're going to play it this way, and we're going to play Gibbs White off Wood, and we're going to play 2 fast wingers, and we're going to play 2 in midfield, and we're going to play 3, whatever it might be, wing backs, whatever you want to fucking call it. But they've literally done it completely the wrong way around. They've completely, like, if there was a textbook on how to let go of a manager because you want to make the next step, they've completely gone, tell you what we're going to do. Let's read that and then completely forget what it fucking says. Yeah. And let's do the exact opposite. Because now they've brought in a manager, right? And I know what you're saying, the manager doesn't get much say, blah, blah, blah. But the manager, all this, I never really go along with this, the director of football signs all the players. Because, listen, the manager has to have input on them. He has to. Because he's the man that brings in the tactics. He's the man that brings in the coaches, the way of playing, defensively, offensively, set pieces, whatever it might be. And unless this is being done 4 or 5 weeks in advance, where these players have come in and went, Ange, get me them 2 players, I think we'll be fine. But I still don't believe that. Because the players they brought in, right? The players they brought in, I struggle to see where he's putting them in this team if he goes to a 3 at the back. And on top of that, like you said, if Postecoglou comes in and says to himself, I'm going to find myself 3 centre-backs, and I'm going to play Nico Williams on one side, and I'm going to play somebody else on the other side, and I'm going to play Elliot Anderson, and I'm going to play 3 in midfield, and I'm going to do this. Grand. But I can tell you something. That Forest team aren't turning around and running backwards. Because if you
This is-
watch the game against West Ham, they're actually done badly trying to run backwards.
Yeah, this
Massively.
is their biggest problem, right? Chris, if you look at Ange's stats at Spurs, his forwards, his front three, and his support two midfielders, they press like fucking lunatics. And when it works, it's brilliant. It really does press the side in. Chris Wood is not pressing anything. Forest have the lowest stats of any side in the Premier League last season for forwards pressing the ball. They just don't. They drop off into their shape on the halfway line and defend from there. Forest last season were quite happy to give you the ball and tell you, come and break us down. We know you can't, and we'll get you on the other way. He started the season with Ndoye on one wing and Hudson
Odoi, that's his name.
and Hudson Odoi on the other wing,
Yep.
with Sangare and Anderson as your two anchors in midfield. Gibbs White playing off Chris Wood. Now, can you picture that front four? I could picture Odoi, Gibbs White, and Ndoye pressing. But Chris Wood is not going to be able to do it. You'll run the legs off Chris Wood inside 3 months if he plays the way Ange wants his strikers to play. And it's the last thing in the world you do. You put the ball in Chris Wood's area and he'll score your goals. He'll bag goals left, right, and centre. Put it in the air, give it to his feet, make chances for him, put it on plates for him, and he will score goals for fun. Don't ask him to press the ball. And we've all seen it with pressing sides. It has to come from the front. It has to come from your striker. And everything comes off that. It won't happen. And every trigger that they try to use with Chris Wood in the side will fail. And people will be all over the shop.
Is Ange a fan of the three men at the back? I always thought he played Van der Ven and Romero at the back.
A lot of games.
I think he played a lot of 4-4. What was it, like 4-4-1 or something along those lines? Didn't he?
He tried to play 4-5-1, but when they got the injuries, he ended up playing with wing backs a lot more in games and switching it in games to make it with to give players like Porro and the Italian guy, I can't remember his name now, it's gone off me, to give them license to go. And sometimes it was a centre midfielder dropped into the back three. Other times he started with three centre backs. He used Archie Gray a lot as a third centre back and him drifting into midfield then when they were on the ball. I just don't know how that Forest side are going to literally do a complete 180 from what they've been doing for the last 18 months to what Postecoglou is going to expect. And
it's the high line for me that I think is going to be absolute suicide. Because you're talking about the comparison last year between the two teams. One of the most glaring comparisons that I can find is in terms of the highest defensive line in all of the league, it was Spurs. The lowest defensive line, it was Forest. So it's literally the polar opposite that you're going to be asking. And I think Murillo and Milinkovic are fantastic defenders. I would have happily taken either of them. I think you're going to burn them the fuck out. I genuinely do not think that is how they play. I think that you're going to basically eliminate all of their strengths and make them look average at best. Because I don't think that they're going to run. And the same thing with, spare a thought for poor Nico Williams. I don't think that that's his game either. I don't think it's the other. Who was the other wing back?
Aina.
Fantastic. Aina. I don't think that's his game either. And he was really, really good in Nuno's system. So they're effectively nullifying every single one of their defensive strengths, which is how they built their entire kind of run last year. So I just think it's going to be an absolute car crash, all across the board.
Somebody says there, Mustafa says maybe Ange will disappoint us and change his tactics, but
as long as he's a hole in his arse, he won't.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't. And somebody said there earlier, I think Kev, you might have given him some credit towards the back end of the last season for adapting a little bit for the Europa League final and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but
one or two games. He did it with City, and he did it in the Europa League final where he switched it and tweaked it. But you got to think, you got a 38 league game season, you got Europa League, League Cup, FA Cup. He just won't. He will not change. He might tweak it for the odd game here and there and sit in, but he will not. Over time, over the next 2 months, you're going to see Forest attempt to go through this massive transition. And I can see Elliot Anderson screaming to get out of there. White's got to scream to get out
He's
of
not
there.
allowed. Dan Austin said
Gibbs White is stuck
Gibbs White will be
forever.
making more coded hostage appeals.
Yeah.
But look, it's going to be fascinating to watch. I'm not going to lie. I don't think it's right what they've done. And even if they feel it's the right decision, I just don't feel they've done it in the right way. And that's not, be nice at the Espirito Santo. Just fucking tell them at the start of July, we're done.
Yeah.
Just do it. We're done. To take a whole transfer window out and a couple of league games and wait till an international break when this looks like it's being like, I'm sorry, you don't sack this fella at 12 o'clock at night and at 9 o'clock the next morning Ange Postecoglou's rocking up to your front door.
No.
You know what I mean? It's not like I was just passing. I just
When
thought
are
I'd
they
drop
gonna
in and
find
see
the
who everyone
time?
is. Yeah, but it's
when
like
are they going to find the time to implement this? Like, they could
No,
have
they
had
don't.
the whole summer
they don't.
to change tactics.
He's
And
gonna
you
go-
hear
Yeah,
managers
that's fair
talk
point.
all the time, being like, "We don't have time to change tactics because there's a game every week." They're screwed.
Every 3 days now. That's what I mean.
Yeah,
It's got to
like
be.
they're actually screwed.
And
I
they've
think
never
I
done
think
it
he's
before.
I think they're going to go to Arsenal on Saturday early, first game, isn't it? The weekend, and I think they're going to get their arse handed to them on Saturday, and he's going to have to stand in that dugout and look at it. But then again, stranger things have happened. He could go there and get a 2-1 win.
For his sake, the best thing he can do is turn up. We're not changing a thing. We're going to do exactly what you
Yeah.
guys did under Nuno, and then next week we'll start.
Yeah,
If he has any brains in his head whatsoever, that's what he does.
I think it's a really, really strange one. But look, it's their decision. Leave them to.
Yeah.
I just thought even 10 past 12 at night to announce this, and then Ange just rocks up at 9 o'clock the next morning. You know it's a bleeding. It's a screw job on Espirito Santo. But the only thing I will say is I think he's come out with really well. Not only the way he's handled himself, but the way he's actually turned Forest into what they are. And I think he'd be in
But
the
he always
reckoning for
was, didn't he? He always did. Even when he was at Wolves, when he had Wolves in their palm.
At Wolves he was excellent, but you see when he went to Spurs for me, he tried to play the way he does play.
Yeah.
And Spurs, of course, have this fucking big thing about them where the Spurs way, and they all talk about Glenn Hoddle, and I'm like, we just fuck off. You know what I mean? That was about 40
Everyone
years
jack
ago.
shit, but,
You know what I mean? And the funny thing is, they're going to go through that with Frank now. And they either like it or he'll fuck off. But I think Espirito Santo's name will be mentioned with. It won't be a Nottingham Forest level of job, I think, from here on in. I think he'll go up a couple of rungs when it comes to possible managers' jobs. And I seen someone earlier saying that maybe he could go and take the Ireland job. Listen, he'd want to be accepting about 15 quid a week and 20
Not
smokes
after
off
today,
Ireland. You know what I mean? Anyway, let's move it on. Let's move it on. Now, Ashley, I'm not going to lie. I'm going to rely on you for this one, right? Because I read a tweet on this.
Give me a hint.
I read a tweet on this yesterday, and then I went, grand, and I moved on. Manchester City and the Premier League, or the FA, or one of the lads, said, this came out yesterday, that Man City and, I think it was the Premier League, said that they have held negotiations. Reached a settlement with regards to basically a thing that Man City brought forward in retaliation to the 130 charges, it really felt like at the time, with regards to investment from companies that are close to your club. That's basically what it is in layman's terms. And it's basically come out now and said, no, they've come to an agreement. I'm not making any more comment on it. Man City have acknowledged that the Premier League rules are, binding and legal and airtight and etc., etc., etc. And this led to a big blow up on everyone online yesterday going, I told you to get away with it. And we're like, this is nothing to do with what you're talking about. But this at the time, this felt like Man City going, we're going to protest against this. And I do remember it coming out going, Man City to sue the Premier League for fucking whatever. But it just seems to have come out to a damn squib now. That's the way I'm taking it.
So on Monday, basically, City accepted the Associated Party transaction, which is the APT regulations, as valid and binding.
Yeah.
There was a point earlier this year, this is completely unrelated to the 115. There was a point earlier this year where they kind of went to bat saying that the new APT rules were, they were basically suggesting that they were going after Newcastle and City in a way that didn't work with sporting integrity, that they were kind of blocking blocking the sporting integrity and growth of the league. Anyways, long story short,
which basically for people that don't understand, I think I have this right. It's basically fair levels of sponsorship from companies tied to your football club.
So it's market value. So like it means that
Yeah.
any sort of sponsorship that comes in. So in this case, because I'll get into it. In this case, it had to do with the Etihad sponsorship of Man City.
Yeah.
When this court case actually came up, it was because the Premier League said, "Hey, that new deal that you're going to do with the Etihad, that doesn't meet fair market value. You're inflating that." And that's kind of what they were fighting over. They were specifically fighting over, so again, I'm trying to kind of simplify it. Basically, there's a fee that they agree on for the first 10 years, but during that 10 years, the fee or the sponsorship numbers are going to grow with, they're saying with inflation, but it grows by a percentage each year. And they were specifically fighting over that percentage. So I think right now at the start, this deal with the Etihad is going to be around $1 billion over 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
With that agreement that they've reached, it's going to be around 1.75 billion with the Etihad, which means it's going to be the largest footballing sponsorship ever in this country or in your country.
Not mine.
And
Ours.
not your
In the UK.
In the, you know what I mean.
We've argued for 800 years
Yeah,
over
yeah.
that.
We're trying to get some of our country back, actually.
I apologize. I'm sorry. I misspoke. In the UK. So it's going to be the largest
we forgive you.
footballing sponsorship in the Premier League. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, you're flying now. You're flying.
So anyways, that's kind of where we're at. The entire thing was just dropped over the course of the last couple of days. So Monday, they dropped all of the fighting with the Premier League. And everyone's kind of like, I wonder why. And the interesting thing is not a lot is being leaked out. So everyone's kind of saying, oh, well, it's confidential. We don't actually know like what City's getting in return. And most people have kind of surmised that what they're getting is this really kind of supersized sponsorship package with the Etihad that, it flirts with the idea of whether or not it's fair market value or not.
But you see, my argument to this is that they've taken this case, right? They've taken this case against the Premier League, saying basically we can sponsor ourselves wherever we fucking like, right? Etihad can sponsor us. They do sponsor us. They sponsor the stadium, etc., etc. And we're going to go in there, and what we're going to do is we're getting 100 million a year off Etihad, and what we're going to do is we're now going to get 175 million a year of Etihad for the next 10 years. And the Premier League have said, no, 175 million is way, way, way above where anybody else is. Now, don't get me wrong, if fucking American Airlines came in and said we're sponsoring for 175 million, I don't think anyone could touch them because it's not a company tied to Manchester City, right? But Etihad clearly is. Right? It's a bit like Saudi Arabia sponsoring, fucking Newcastle. Or indeed, get one of fucking FSG's companies and say, right, we're coming in to sponsor Liverpool and we're sponsoring for 2 billion quid over the next 5 years. You know what I mean? So it's not just on Man City and not on Newcastle, but the inflation does come from, I'm not going to say Newcastle because I don't think they've tried it. So from this, just in this case of City, they've come in and said no. Now, if the Premier League have said no, they're the rules and you know it, and City have gone and went bam, 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 for City to come out and say there's no more comment on this and we recognise that these rules are legally binding, watertight, whatever word you want to use, why are we all thinking that Man City have walked in there and went, yeah, all them rules are absolutely fine, but we're still going to get what we want? Like, that, does that make, am I missing something here? You're muted, actually.
That seems to kind of basically be what happens. It seems like City were going, again, I don't know this for a fact, so take everything that I'm saying with a grain of salt. I don't want to be sued. It seems like City were really, really upset with not being able to get this Etihad kind of sponsorship to go through. Now that they're being allowed to have it go through on the terms that they want, it seems like they're like, you know what, we don't need to fight you anymore. So,
but if the rules were legally binding, etc., etc., How can Man City have taken this case over this deal now turn around and go, we're getting that deal, right? Which is in conflict with your rules, but we're going to tell you your rules are absolutely fine.
I think that's kind of where the term settlement comes in, where it's like, well, what were the agreements of the settlement? So obviously City are getting something in return for dropping the charges against the Premier League.
Okay, but I presume all Premier League clubs will have to be notified of the settlement in order for anybody else to come in and say, well, what did they get so we can go and get the same?
Well, that's the question. They haven't released it. Davey T put in the chat there as well. There's other clubs that are asking questions and they haven't come out yet. So whether or not that's released, I have no idea. I have no clue if that's confidential, if that'll come in like drips and drabs over time. But what I do know is that the deal that they are signing is going to break all sorts of records, and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Like, it pales in comparison. Say for like Standard Charter, for example, like it's like half of what they're getting for the Etihad. Yeah. I don't know. In terms of the future, I mean, it's very kind of murky waters for me.
1 billion over 10 years is laughable, says Jono. How is that fair market value? That's 100 million a year when Liverpool are getting 50 million a year from Standard Chartered. I know Etihad includes their training ground, stadium naming rights, but still. They do have the Etihad deal. Is the short sponsor, it is the stadium, and it is the training ground. So in fairness, if you added up Liverpool's Standard Chartered and AXA, because AXA do pay, if you add them up now, there isn't a sponsorship deal on the stadium. Liverpool wouldn't be far off, I wouldn't say, at 100 million a year as well. The sort of way.
I think it's more the percentage increase with inflation that would have spiraled that deal out of control. No, I don't think the billion over 10 years is.
No, it's going to be 1.75 billion. Because that's what they were fighting over. So it wasn't the 1 billion. It was the inflation over time. So it's going to be 1.75 billion.
I think that's what they want, but what they want and what they get are going to be two different things. Look, when I read it first, my instinct was, Man City are going to lose this. And I thought they were going to lose it anyway. I never thought they had a strong case going into the appeal because they signed up to the rules. And they signed up not just to the original rules, they signed up to the amended rules because the Premier League amended their rules to accommodate a ruling from the first Man City case. When Man City had certain victories.
Yeah, because O'Shea says there, this was ruled in part unlawful original APT rules. Exactly. Then the Premier League rewrote them, but City challenged them again.
Exactly. But when they rewrote them in a way that nullified the original complaints. So City, by challenging them again, were always onto a loser because the points of the first case that they lost, or that the Premier League lost on, have been rectified to a legal standard. So they were always going to lose. It was just a case of when. And I think this suits City. The fact that the wording of it makes it look like it was, we're just going to stop and we've come to an amicable agreement with the Premier League. I don't think they have. I think they've turned around and Premier League, or they've been told, you are going to lose this. We can give you a saving face option and you will do your sponsorship deal. We know that that's coming, but you're going to do it under the current rules that you've signed up to. And this is how you can save face and we'll agree to let you save face. But I just honestly looked at it and I thought, the Premier League are doing them a favour by letting them out of this.
And the fact that there's no comment coming from anyone is a bit weird. Jono says, I just don't trust that football club. But Jono, you have to understand the concept of that football club, right? Because Man City can walk around telling you that they earn the biggest revenue in the world and all that, right? But they don't. Okay? They just don't. Because they don't have the pull, right? They only earn the biggest revenue if they spend the most and they win the most, right? Off the side of that, forget it. It's not. Yeah. But what they're basically saying here is, look, and this is genuinely what I believe, we can't compete with certain football clubs in certain markets with regards to sponsorship and exposure, etc. They can't compete with Liverpool, and they can't compete with Manchester United. Don't even give yourself a second thought that they can. They simply can't. Okay? So what they're doing is they're going to say to themselves, where does air fall off here? Air fall off over the next 10 years could be anywhere between 500 and a billion quid. 500 million and a billion quid. What we're going to do is we're going to let Etihad put it in. Right? So what they're doing is they're just financing themselves to look like what they are. Right? And you can say, like, oh, they've all the money in the world, but the stability to that is questionable. If these owners don't get the results they want, or they don't get the wins that they want, or they don't get the rulings that they want. And I'm not saying, look, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to go, they could be gone in 6 months. But that sort of stuff, to me, it's sustainable for a certain period of time and it looks fantastic. But in the long run, I'm not too sure. Whereas your Liverpools and your Manchester United, and especially your Manchester United, because they're fucking terrible. But they earn so much money because of who they are. Like, they dwarf what Man City earn. They dwarf it, right? And if you actually, and what I mean by earning is, if you took away that owner, Man City aren't getting anywhere near that money for, stadium and this, that, and the other, because they're Manchester City. That's what they're being run on. That's what it is, John. And genuinely, that's what it is. And this is why, when you come back, and I'm not getting into an FSG argument because fuck it, no thanks. You know what I mean? And right now we don't need to. The football club, but that's why Liverpool run and the way they run. What we earn. And we're brilliant at earning, by the way. What we earn is what we spend. And what they do is they look down into the future. And they say to themselves, if we don't want this football club anymore, we can sell it and we can leave it, and somebody will have a massive money-making operation to come into. Right? Whereas some owners will walk away and them clubs will literally implode on themselves. Because when they walk away, like, if they walk away, they're not going to go, listen, we're walking away, but listen, see that the Etihad deal put us down for another 10 years on top of the 10 we've already done. They're not going to. They're simply not going to. And I know it maybe comes across as, Jesus, Gav's having an awful lot of wishful thinking here, but that's genuinely what it is. And it might go on for 20 years, it might go on for 50 years, but it's set on a certain base that Man City know, all things equal, Man City know they can't compete with. I'd say there's probably 10 Premier League clubs that they can't compete with. That's genuinely.
One thing to Davy's point there, because Davy's making the point, if Newcastle announce a deal naming rights for St James's Park of 500 million, the difference between Newcastle and Man City is Man City can turn around and point to the Premier League earnings, the Premier League titles, the silverware that they've won in the last 10 years. Newcastle can't. Newcastle can turn around and say, look, yeah, we've won a League Cup, we've a great stadium, a great atmosphere, but you don't have the earning potential or the reach of what a Man City does, given what Man City have won over the last decade. So a fair market value for a sponsorship of St James's Park is always going to be different to that of a side who are going to be competing to win Premier League titles year in, year out consistently. So it's unfair,
10 years ago,
but it's the way the rules
City
are.
would have had to. 10 years ago, if these rules were in place, City would have been in the same shoes as Newcastle are now. The problem is that City have that 10-year head start of unregulated spending, I guess, quote unquote, that now allows them to use that 10 years as, the backing for everything that goes forward.
But the thing on it is, like Davey does say there, if they announce 500 million and the Premier League block it, then they have to explain why the Newcastle take them to court using the City ruling. Possibly, yeah, is the answer to that. Because, like, let's say for argument's sake,
it's what determines fair market value.
Let's use them. Yeah, but it's fair market value comes into effect more when it's a company that's tied to your football club. Like I said earlier, if American Airlines turned around tomorrow and went, St James's Park, we want to sponsor that St James's Park for 500 million for the next 10 years, right? They'll get away with it. They get away with it because it's like people just go, well, they're fooling the money, and if they want to sponsor it. Fair market value is when you're actually giving yourself money. That's what it comes down to. Because, like, let's be honest about it. Liverpool could sign a deal tomorrow for 150 million with Adidas, and it will go through. It will absolutely go through. Because Adidas know the potential of Liverpool. United the same. Barcelona. You know, if Barcelona turn around tomorrow and went, listen, right, already Spotify's on their jersey, but if Barcelona turn around tomorrow and went, we want 150 million a year to put your company on air jerseys for the next 10 years, it's going to cost you 1.5 billion. Someone will pay it and it will go through because it's Barcelona. It's Barcelona. They know what they can make. Do you know what I mean? It's when you turn around and you say, right, like, you know, Southampton are owned by a fucking cruise liner company, and this other cruise liner company that are tied to them are going to give £1 billion to Southampton. That's fair market value. Now you have to worry. And I can say, I would say Newcastle fans are frustrated by all that, but the reasons these are in here is because very much the reasons why Man City. It's not only Man City have exploited it. We know that they're up on charges for exploiting A, B, and C, but it's also the fact, Davey, that when you look at Man City and what they're based on, right? I'd say there's probably nothing to worry about, but I'd say quite a few in the Premier League will go, if these fuckers walk away, we have a club here that are all over the place. And that's where fair market value and PSR, etc. comes in. It's not to stop you spending. It's simply not. It's to stop you from being hurt if anything goes wrong. And that's what it's always been. But that's going to rumble on. The big question here in all this is, will you please fucking come out and tell us what's going on with these 115 charges? Because 100%. We were told last year that we would hear by the hearing would go on, and I know this for a fact, the hearing would go on between the middle of September and the end of October, and then something else would happen by November, and they reckon late February here. We're into fucking September. We're a year since this started, since this hearing happened. And I understand it's been, you know, it'll be technical and there'll be a lot of involved in it. But please, you know what I mean? The ruling has to be here, one way or the other. And the fact that it hasn't come out, that is ridiculous. Anyway, another person we'd like to talk about is Daniel Levy. Daniel Levy's decided to leave his position at Spurs. The only thing I've seen on this is a couple of lads saying to me, aha, Daniel Levy is leaving Spurs. This is where you're going to see big, huge investment coming into Spurs now, because the word on the street is that Daniel Levy was the one against the big, huge investment in Spurs and wanted them to continue in the model that they're using. Kev, he gets an awful hard time, Daniel Levy, at times, but I genuinely think he's done a phenomenal job at Spurs. I think the managerial appointments have been poor at times. The money you spent on certain players is being poor, but you can stand that to any club, really. I think he probably walks away with Spurs he should with a lot of credit.
Daniel Levy was a Spurs 24 years. And in that time, he's probably rebuilt that club a few times. They've always been thereabouts, steady eddies in the Premier League. Never getting to the heights of Arsenal, which is always going to be their number one competitor, but never really in any kind of trouble, apart from last season, but then they turned around and won a trophy as well. So, it is what it is. He's been really important in the Premier League in the way that Tottenham votes, in the way that the Premier League has shaped over the last probably decade. He's been one of the key people involved in decision-making within the Premier League. I have a feeling, I don't think the money is going to come in for Spurs from Saudi Arabia. I think you're more likely to see NFL owners or a conglomerate of NFL owners look to buy Spurs. And the NFL are desperate to get an international franchise somewhere.
I think they should do is they should get rid of the New York Giants and put a new team in, because the New York Giants are fucking deplorable. And I was told to support them a few years ago. I was told they were good. I knew nothing about the sport, and I swear to God, these fuckers have won about 8 games in about 4 years.
I'm convinced that the NFL will launch a franchise team in London and base it at White Hart Lane or Spurs Stadium, whatever you want to call it. And
the London Hotspurs,
whatever they do, I don't know, but I think it's nailed on that you're going to get an NFL team in London based in Spurs Grand, and that was probably the plan for a while, because they built the stadium with a retractable pitch that has an NFL standard pitch underneath it. And if you're in New York and you're playing for the New York Giants, New York Jets, and you're taking a 3,000-mile flight to play the LA Rams, it's no different to making a 3,000 mile trip across the Atlantic to play in London, and it's no different to these players playing every other week, home and away, in Europe and in the US. It's not going to be a problem for them, and I think the NFL are determined, and London has to be that city. I think down the line that's going to happen. As
Be
long
careful,
and
because once the NFL do it, the Premier League will probably do it in the opposite direction.
Correct.
no, because the Premier
No, they will.
League is
What
no
they'll
the
do is
Premier
they'll
League.
start moving
They
games
can't.
over there.
Oh no!
I don't think you can argue in favor of moving NFL games.
No, I'm not
over
about.
to-
No, he's on about actually starting
You'll
a
have
new
a team
franchise.
based in London. You'll have a London NFL team that will join the Eastern Conference and will either replace you'll either get an NFL franchise relocate from the US
They
to
love doing that.
London, or for God's sake, when I was living in the States, I lived near Hartford in Connecticut, and there was a hockey team there, Hartford Whalers. They relocated to Charlotte. You have sides relocating cities. Look,
I love the way they just move like. I love the way they move like a 5-hour flight away and goes, "We've relocated, lads. Feel free to come with us if you want." You're like, lads, you've moved 5 hours away.
One of the worst
Not
ones
all
of the lot
teams
was
do
the
that, though.
No, there's not.
No.
There's some legacy teams that are fixed, but there's some, like the LA Raiders. They started in Oakland. They went to LA. They went to Las Vegas. They've been all over the show. I've no doubt
They've
that
had a
an
lovely
NFL
time.
owner, an NFL owner will either look to relocate to London or they'll establish a brand new team in London. But they'll need to own Spurs to do it. And Spurs will be fine, but I don't think they'll massively inject cash into Spurs or anything like that. I just think Spurs will be the vehicle that the NFL uses.
24 years is a long time, 24
Yeah.
years.
I mean, there's already there's a report out there that the Lewis Family Trust is going to put in £100 million into Spurs immediately, like right now, because they're part of the group that I guess kind of takes control now that Levy is gone. They called it sort of like a succession style, like handover, where it was going, from family, like from father to son and things like that. It's very complicated.
There's a lot of Lewises involved, is there?
There's a lot of Lewises involved. There's Daniel Levy's son who's still involved.
Still there, yeah.
Okay.
There's a lot of weird kind of complicated stuff going on. I know that Amanda Stavely was kind of rumored to want to maybe put in a bid or for a claim. I don't think that's happening. There's a lot to kind of be filtered out. I don't know if they're interested in selling or if this is just the younger generation pushing the older generation out.
Yeah, I think Levy had an awful lot of control there and over how the club was running and what way they done things, even though the Lewises are the ones that own it, aren't they? But I think by him leaving, I think it might open up. Maybe Spurs looking to go in a different direction. Maybe they will look to pump a load of money in and go there, or maybe they go another way. But as much as some Spurs fans mightn't like Daniel Levy, I think when you look where he's taken over to where they are now, I think it's night and day. A genuine
massive stability.
He made them very lucrative. Like they are a very well financially placed club now.
Yeah. They are.
They're one of the best run clubs in Premier League history.
Yeah,
from a financial standpoint.
Yeah,
we bragged about our.
They done the move at the right time, you see, because when you look back at Arsenal, I think Arsenal moved into the Emirates about 20 years ago now, 2006 maybe, was it? And Arsenal suffered massively for 10 years, but the way Spurs have done it. Spurs have went, we're about moving into that stadium, we're financing it in a certain way, and we're going to put event after event after event in it, and we're going to, they're hosting all the boxing, they're hosting all...
As they can. They're in London.
But you remember, when Wembley used to be the place, and now it's the London Stadium, unbelievable for the boxing, you have the NFL, anything, concerts, they just have so much going on there, that it's making them so much money. And as well as that,
stadium in the UK.
But as well as that, you have to remember the match day stuff. People go, match day stuff isn't really. But when you go from White Hart Lane to that, it's phenomenal the amount of money they're making compared to what they would have made at White Hart Lane. All the corporate they can do, you just have so much room to sell so much stuff that they've done it at the right time, and I think I think he's been really good for them. I don't think you can argue that. We were going to talk about the academy, but we're running out of time, so we might do that in a couple of days. But I want to finish on the most important thing of today, and it's the fact that Liverpool have released, in my opinion, possibly the nicest jersey they've released in 30 years. And I include all of the fucking jerseys in that, right? This new green thing is unfucking believable. I think Adidas have maybe brought out the best range of clothing, etc., that's ever been brought out and released as well. And the whole optics around it is just unbelievable. But Kev, I'll come to you first. That green jersey is off the fucking charts good. When you put the old Adidas sign in, I know all the kids like to call it something like the trifoil or whatever the fuck you call it. But the old Adidas one, as I call it, and you put the crest on it that was there in the 80s, and you put that collar on it, which is a bit of a mix for me. It's a bit of a they've tweaked that from. To me, it's just fucking phenomenal, the thing to look at. And the red one was great, and the white one, or the cream, or whatever the fuck you call it, that green one is going to blow both of them out of the water. I have no doubts about it. It's unfucking believable.
You're a massive fan of the green one. I'm not gone on it. I love the logo. Kev? I'm not gone on the green one. I love Alisson's. Alisson Becker's goalkeeper shirt, the third one, will be nigh on impossible to get. It's
the black one.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, always is.
It's black. It's got the retro Adidas logo, the Liverpool emblem that we all love. It's just, and the black and the white, it just fucking pops. And Alisson looks unbelievable in it. You know, he's just fucking gorgeous.
What's this I'm reading about? A belly top jersey. What the fuck is that?
So the ladies, they have provided a cropped version.
Have you ordered it yet, actually?
Absolutely fucking not.
Why?
No. You know what? I woke up at 4 a.m. this morning to get the long sleeve men's green top. And that is all I'm buying.
Did you get it?
I don't need a fucking belly shirt. Like, absolutely not. Like,
Kev, did you order the crop top?
Funny enough, no.
The
world isn't ready for that.
But they've clearly listened to a point. Now, I know Madge has
like
massive issues.
13-year-old girls, maybe. I don't know.
Well, I tell you, probably a series.
Honestly, though, the female, this is not like a tirade, but like the women's section of the Liverpool, like, whole thing, it needs a revamp. Like, there's really not that much there. And Madge has come out and said it many times. Like, it's actually quite sad, the amount of options for men versus women. But so, I'm going to stop it there.
Tell me this on the jerseys, right? The jersey is a standard jersey, but you're saying like the women's one should be a bit more fitted. Is that the right word to use?
But like there is no long sleeve women's jersey, for example. Like that should be available.
But are the women that are playing for Liverpool not wearing a women's type jersey? Or
I mean, they might be, but it's not available for sale.
Okay.
So I don't know if they make it for the team, but it's not available for sale. And like the sweatshirts and stuff, like Boss, I bought them in the men's, but they don't sell them in the women's, and that it just kind of sucks, you know.
Okay.
Especially for people that are like,
that's legitimate.
Like there are people that are smaller too that like they just don't fit into the men's sizes, and I don't know, they don't want to buy children's clothing. So it's not. I know that Madge is very, very passionate about it, but
Madge is. She says it's fucking September. Who's going to wear the crop top in autumn?
I would much rather have like a sweatshirt that fit the women than a fucking crop top, to be completely honest. Okay. Because,
well, I'll tell you, we should all get together and write a strongly worded email. This started off with me being so positive over this jersey. It was fantastic. Kev's went, I don't really like it. Actually,
I mean, the
range is fucking pathetic. So
I think Adidas have done a brilliant job on all the kits, to be fair. It's for me the biggest thing with the third kit is the traditional Adidas logo.
Yeah,
you can stick that on anything,
and the crest.
I love it. Yeah, I love it. I love that part of it.
The best Liverpool crest ever.
But again, go and find. I think the Alisson Becker one is just perfect. It is.
I want that in a long sleeve. Why don't they make that in long sleeve?
Well, actually, I'm not going to lie to you. You have multiple questions now, all right? There's like a dossier you're putting together here now. But I will fully back you if you want to write that and send it off. Put my name down as well. I've no problem backing you. About fitted jerseys.
Me and Madge and I are gonna have like I don't know. We're gonna contact the right people. We'll figure it out.
Maybe if I was you, I'd probably just go up to the main shop at Anfield and chain yourself to the fucking doors and show out your manifesto. It's the only way things get done nowadays.
Are you sure? I mean, maybe I can probably borrow that guy's zip ties from Everton.
Correct. Yeah, you could do.
I'll find it. I'll find it.
But you'll need to put on your placard that you're actually okay with oil. You know, just make sure you fucking know. You know.
Yeah.
Or all the lads
just no crop tops.
Or all the Ev lads will be down having a go with you because
they'll be what they'll be at Everton 1 and I'll be at Liverpool 2 or whatever.
Whatever happened to the lads that didn't like the oil? Remember the lads in the orange and used to spray orange stuff everywhere.
They're still about.
They're still around,
yeah, they're still around. They just don't get media attention anymore.
Correct. And
they're dealing with the other orange prick at the minute.
Yeah, there we go. Anyway, listen, don't be minding what Ashley Kev says. It's a fucking fantastic looking football jersey. It is a throwback to the early 90s of Liverpool. It's unbelievable. It's the colour, everything about it is fantastic. I think it's going to go off the shelf. I do want to give out.
Wait, can you put on Madge's comment right now because that's like round of applause.
I did actually contact Adidas, says Madge. Problem was the fella I chatted with turned out to be a Liverpool fan. We ended up having a lovely chat. We're getting married next year. There you go. And listen, if we can find his and hers fitted Liverpool long sleeve jerseys, and that's what you should get married in. What's his name? And I wish us all the best luck and happiness, all that sort of stuff. So there you go. What was I going to say to you? Yeah, it's a great jersey. Basically, that's it.
Did you order the green one?
No, I don't wear them.
No.
Don't wear jerseys. I just think it's fucking fantastic looking. I might though. I'll see. Yeah, go and buy it. It's going to be brilliant. But I want to give a shout out to one fella on Twitter who's having the time of his fucking life. I think his name is Biggie Smalls. He put up this thing. I don't know if I've said it on the show already, but he put up a thing last week saying in the first 2 hours since Alexander Isak has signed for Liverpool, they've sold so many jerseys that they've paid for his transfer fee and his wages for the next 5 years in the first 2 hours based on sales of the jerseys. And that means now we have the Coutinho money back for January, right? And people lost the plot, and there was one guy in particular who was doing a whole breakdown of how this wouldn't be possible. And today he put up a thing and he went, the sales of the green jersey in the first 2 hours today has actually paid for Isak and Ekitike's transfer fees and stuff, and now we have the Coutinho money back. And honestly, like, people were like, what are you talking about? That is actually can't happen. And he's drawn so many people in, so I want to give him a shout out because I thought it was just brilliant. It was actually so good.
Brilliant account.
It's a great account. It really is.
It is.
We're going to run. What day is today? Tuesday.
Wednesday.
Today's Tuesday.
Wishing me life away.
We will be on Patreon tomorrow night with a show. We should be back on Thursday night then with a preview. Looking forward to Burnley because that's on Sunday, so we'll try to get that sorted as well. And over the weekend then, of course, we will be back to normal programming and all your YouTube shows and all your Patreon shows. If you want to join Patreon, the link is in the description. There's loads of people joining and they seem to be liking it. If you pay for a month and you like it, great, go ahead, stay on it. If you pay for it and you don't like it, get rid of it. It's not for you. That's absolutely fine. Also, NordVPN, the link is in the description. If you're considering getting VPN, try use our link in their description because it helps us as well. You know how these VPNs work now. You get access to all your shows all around the world in different countries where you're not able to access them. You have got security when you're away working because of their security features on a VPN. And of course you can cover the whole family because all these plans cover 10 devices and they're massively discounted at the minute. You're getting about 4 or 5 months free, I think. So that's how that works. Kev, anything else before we go?
No, it's just Ireland are absolutely shockingly shite.
Yeah.
And it's over for another few weeks. And we can get back to normal services for a while.
Until October.
It's fucking bad. It's so fucking bad. That dentist needs to fucking go.
How did Nathan Collins do?
It was fucking horrendous.
Good old Nate. He's
I mean, God love him. I mean, I don't know what the fuck they were doing. It's like Evan Ferguson. I mean, he had one good season at Brighton. He got injured, failed at West Ham, fucked off to Roma. And they're talking about him on the commentary tonight as being some kind of fucking prodigy. He's a fucking donkey. I mean, I watched the under-21s, and at least they won. So it's something. But fuck me, that Ireland are shocking.
I wouldn't know. I didn't watch it.
Credit unions are safe until are safe.
Yeah.
Safe
People's life savings are safe for next year. Do you know what? The only way we're going to the World Cup is if we get an invite off the White House. Genuinely.
I wouldn't count on it.
Ashley, you never know. Me and
No,
us
they
and Don.
fucking hate us too.
Us and Don are huge mates. Should we give him?
Money in Clare.
We build golf courses now with him. We've some crack with him. Ashley, anything else before we go?
When are we announcing the Patreon winners of the five?
Well,
five winners.
I wanted to ask you about that. What did we do to ask them to win?
They were supposed to email us the answer to the question, which Talkin Kop member accidentally lit their hair on fire at an end of season get together. And they needed to email talkinkop1@gmail.com with the answer. And then we were going to randomly draw 5 people to get a month-long free subscription.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what we'll do. Because we're definitely doing it. I can deal with the subscriptions like now. But what we'll do is we'll leave it till what day is it? Tuesday. We'll leave it till our show on Thursday previewing Burnley. And by then we will have the 5 names. Is that all right? So if anyone wants a free month of...
So extra bonus entries, basically.
Yeah.
If anyone hasn't entered, you now have an additional 48 hours to enter.
Correct. So all you have to do is go on to Talkin Kop 1. So that's TalkinKop1 and just send us an email that says on it, put whatever you want in the description, and then put the answer to that question. So it's Talkin Kop 1, TalkinKop1 Send it over. Give us the answer to that question. I'll pick 5 randomly and I'll announce them on Thursday. The reason we can't do it directly through YouTube is because we can't get fucking contact details for people on YouTube. All you get is their username. That's it. You don't get anything else. So there you go. 5 people will get a month's Patreon.
I'll give you guys a tip now. It wasn't Keith.
No,
right.
It wasn't
Keith.
But Keith was very, very close. Keith was very close to this person when it happened. There you go. Right, we're going to go. That has been the Talkin Kop. Thanks to Ashley. Thanks to Kev. I've been Gav. Best of luck to Madge in our future marriage and trying to get the jerseys for the big day.
Yeah, get the jerseys sorted out, Madge.
Yeah, and if we don't get invites to the wedding now, then, you know what I mean? I'll have huge issues.
I'm expecting very, very eloquently worded invitations too, like big words.
Yeah, big words.
Properly spelled.
Big words. Avo says, Gav, you're going to get spammed to fuck. No, I'm not. I'm going to just pick the first 5 and ignore the rest. Let's be honest. So don't worry about it. That's been it. Talk to you in a bit. Over and out.